Welcome to the March Town Council meeting. And where did my agenda go? Wait, pardon me while I find this evening's agenda.
Do that, hand me your file, I'll look through that. Get the party started.
So Ms. Cronin is going to help me here. And I guess officially what you won't do the Pledge of Allegiance. So we'll officially do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So now we have the public comment opportunity for anybody in the public who would like to bring something to our attention that the council cannot actively take a role in, but we will listen and hear. And actually, this evening agenda item is something that someone brought up last month, so it does work. So I guess there's no one who would like to tell us something that we don't know, which is fine. Next, we have resolutions. We have resolutions. One, the town of Warren is a resolution to amend low moderate income housing legislation to include nursing homes. This was introduced by Councilman Rago. And if we can have any input on this, why we think it would work or not work, please feel free.
I have comments.
Ms. Cronin?
As it happens, I was discussing with our representative, June Speakman, this resolution, because on face value, it seems to make a lot of sense if we could count nursing homes as part of our, to help get us towards our 10%, but it's kind of, it doesn't make a lot of sense when you really think more about it. The nature of a nursing home is not conducive to counting as a bed or a dwelling for purposes of getting us to our 10%, because it's such a transient population, and nursing homes operate on a number of different for a number of different reasons. People can use them for temporary rehab. They can use them as a medical facility. They can use them, they can service as hospice or end of life care. So for those reasons, this is not a permanent resident who is dwelling in this facility. Some are fully for-profit, some are for nonprofit. The ones, some people pay full fare for them, and it's nothing close to being affordable. And so for those reasons and a number of others, I don't believe that it would ever be moved forward at the state level to be considered, because it would be impossible to count nursing home beds as dwellings. We do get credit for group homes. We have about 25 beds, I think, in the town of Warren that get counted towards our 10%. But it's the nursing home idea doesn't really have the meet the criteria. So unfortunately, I wouldn't support moving this forward.
Excuse
Come
me,
forward.
sir, excuse me. You can raise your hand, be recognized. Feel free to come forward. We're not speaking from the audience.
Sure. I understand the portion. My name is Richard Matten.
Thank you.
I live on 11 Kennecut Avenue in Warren. How about something like the Warren Senior Center, senior housing?
That's a different
Right, it's
thing
different.
altogether. That's
Is that-
not nursing. That's a completely
Yeah,
different.
but that's not being counted.
Senator Felag has introduced legislation that I believe will be finalized. It's already passed.
Yeah.
It's already passed?
Yeah, so it's in the process of.
Okay. Great. Answer
Thank
my
you.
question.
Good
Thank
one.
you.
Mr. Rago, please.
Yeah, so the purpose of this is not for us to not look for affordable housing or to help in that area. But, you know, there are a lot of people that are in affordable housing that don't count and they're way below market. But we can't count this because there's no mechanism. So the state has taken upon themselves to say that in order for it to count, it has to be subsidized. Medicaid is a subsidy. And for that reason, it should count. And again, it's to bring this closer to our numbers. It's not to avoid us looking for affordable housing for people. That's not the intent.
No, that's not what I was saying at all. I just don't believe, after having a pretty healthy conversation with Representative Speakman, who does housing, she said you're not going to meet the metric. It's as much as it would be nice to be able to do that, it's not going to pass.
Well-
Yeah.
Well, I think she's entitled to her opinion, and I think it's up to the legislature to make up that decision, and I would also ask, and approving this for us to send it to the other 39 cities and towns, because there are a lot of communities that have a lot of nursing homes, that are subsidized by Medicare, and it would help them. Again, this is not to avoid, looking for ways for us to get affordable housing. It's for us to try to meet the 10% criteria. That's the goal. And
Understood.
again, a subsidy is a subsidy.
But I have to agree, reading the language, it doesn't meet the definition.
Well, I would say that Medicaid is a subsidy from the government. And I would think that it would, based on, it's subsidized by the government. If they cut out Medicaid, what's gonna happen to these people? They're not gonna get subsidized. Tony, I don't know if you can.
Well, actually, I think you're raising a very good point on this because this is, you're talking about Medicaid.
Mhm.
And the only question I have on this is some of that Medicaid is for long-term subsidy for people that are in these nursing homes. I'd like the opportunity to get those statistics to you because I think that's the issue that is in play here. What type of subsidy goes for the nursing home on this? Because I don't think you're looking for everybody in a nursing home.
No.
So, you know, and I apologize because I drafted the resolution. I'd like the opportunity to amend this so that we can focus on down, so you can make a reasoned opinion, and perhaps even Representative Speaking would change your mind too. Because I think that's your intent.
It is my intent.
It goes to the long-term Medicaid recipients that are getting in this. And of course, you know, there's things going on at the federal level that we need to take a look at. And I think that's a good point too. And I know this has already been continued once, but I'd like that opportunity.
Is there a motion for continuance?
I'll second.
Did you want-
Oh, I'm sorry.
I wanted to add that I had a different concern, which sort of touches on what Mr. Sisto just spoke about with this resolution, which is with what is going on at the federal level regarding Medicaid, regarding housing vouchers, that my concern is that if we were to pass this into law, that and regardless of whether you agree or disagree with what's going on at the federal level, that it would have a negative impact on people who are receiving this benefit currently. And it could, in a sense, I don't know if it could be considered DEI or some sort of thing like that, but if it could hurt people by being double counted or what have you, then I don't want that to happen. So that's why.
I'll be able to address that issue.
Thank you.
Be able to address that.
Well, I wish all of the resolutions we sent to the State House passed, so this is just the beginning. So there's a motion and a second. All in favor for continuance?
Hi.
Thank you. Next, we have Town of Warren, resolution in support of full funding of categorical transportation aid as outlined in RIGL 16-7-2-6. This was sent out last month by the other regionalized schools. And I'm not going to read the whole thing because I think this one explains itself pretty much in its title. It's support for full funding of categorical transportation. So is there a motion? Is there discussion? The resolution we're sending up in support of, I believe this was Exeter, and there were a few other, East Greenwich and I think Charahoe. So most of the regionalized schools want this.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, or is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Next, we have a Town of Warren resolution in support of amending state law relating to highways and sidewalks. Who wants to discuss this? Or have an opinion on this? This act would require that all maintenance of sidewalks along state highways, with the exception of snow and ice removal, be the responsibility of the state. It once was, the state put it back, not put it back, put it on towns, and now we're asking for this to be changed. And there is some movement in the Senate, and who knows?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Trombley.
for the solicitor or the manager, is there a House companion to the Senate version of this bill?
I didn't see one,
Okay.
and I don't know if I missed it or not. This is a concept that's being backed and pushed by the Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns.
Mhm.
I just didn't see the House version.
I didn't either, but I thought you might. Well,
I
either.
didn't, and I was
Just
wondering
make
if
sure
I
I
missed
didn't.
it.
I don't think you did. I don't think I did either.
Yes, Mr. Rego.
So, Tony, does this put more liability on them if it's not, if the sidewalks are not passable?
To me, the idea of it is two things for the state. When it comes to sidewalks along state roads, like Route 114, 103, 136. There's two things. Number one, they don't have to pay for the maintenance. Number two, they don't have the liability. The liability goes to cities and towns for the sidewalks adjacent to it. So they've got two savings there. The towns have the towns have the responsibility to maintain, and they also incur the liability if there's an accident on the sidewalk.
But I guess if we're pushing this on them and they take over the liability maintenance, and it's not properly maintained, and somebody fixes the fault because of the lack of maintenance, the liability is on the state versus the town.
The liability goes to the state under the Knudsen doctrine.
Anthony, I'm looking at this resolution here, and there's nothing in here that says anything about the liability of it. It just says the maintenance. I don't know which microphone.
I didn't put that in, but there's a case, State v. Knudsen, they call it the Knudsen doctrine.
Okay, once they're responsible for the maintenance, then they're responsible for the liability.
Correct.
Because,
And what that case involved was, it was a rare circumstance where the state repaired a sidewalk along a state road. There was some type of an agreement with the city that they were gonna do it. There was an accident on it. They sued the city, it was Newport, and they said, we didn't do it. It was the state. And the court in that case said, well, ordinarily it would have been the city or town, but in this instance, because the state did the maintenance, the liability goes with them.
You know what, I'm gonna read this. Whereas Senate Bill S 57 was introduced to the General Assembly on January 23rd, 25 by Senators Robert Ciccione, Lamontagne, De Palma, Tacoyan, Burke, Pearson, McKenney, and De La Cruz and Paolino. Whereas this act would require that all maintenance of sidewalks along state highways, with the exception of snow and ice removal, be the responsibility of the state. And whereas it makes sense to have the state maintain sidewalks along state highways. And whereas this act is fair because it relieves cities and towns of the responsibility to maintain sidewalks that are not part of municipal infrastructure in the first place. Now therefore be it resolved by the Town Council of the Town of Warren as follows, that the Town Council of the Town of Warren officially expresses its support for S 57 and respectfully requests that the Honorable General Assembly enact S 57. Section 2, that this resolution shall become effective immediately upon its passage by the Warren Town Council. We've had discussion, any further discussion?
we'll make a motion, we support this resolution or we pass this resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sounds good. Next, we have resolution regarding the restoration of general revenue sharing to cities and towns. This is a kind of long one, so give me a minute. Senate Bill S 328 was introduced in the General Assembly on February 21st, 25 by Senator Ujifuza. And whereas cities and towns across Rhode Island have been struggling with the current economic environment, and whereas in 2009, the General Assembly discontinued revenue sharing due to the economic conditions at that time. And whereas the removal of general revenue sharing forced the cities and towns to increase property taxes and make up for this loss in revenue. And whereas the state of Rhode Island has rebounded from the economic dislocation brought on by COVID pandemic crisis. And whereas the state of Rhode Island has had budget surpluses in the last 3 fiscal years. And whereas the car tax phase payments benefited citizens in the short term, but did not provide cities and towns with an escalator to make up for the lost revenue and inflation. And whereas Senate Bill S 328 will reinstate general revenue sharing of state aid among the 39 cities and towns of Rhode Island. The initial amount is based upon population and will increase annually thereafter based on an increase in the consumer price index for all urban consumers. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the town council of the town of Warren that the town council of town of Warren hereby expresses its support for Senate Bill S 328 and respectfully requests that the Honorable General Assembly enact 328. This resolution shall become effective immediately upon its passage. Warren's share right now would be around $390,000. Any discussion?
Motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wish us luck. We have interviews. We have an associate municipal court judge, 1-year term, no applicants. We have an economic development board position available, and Mr. Donald Mead is the candidate. Is Mr. Mead here? Please come forward and,
Okay, a question.
yes.
Have we decreased the number of members on the Economic Development Board, and therefore is there an opening after we moved to decrease the size of that board? Did we, it says 7 members, we went from 9 to 7, so were there only 6 members? And so we have room for 1 more?
I think we went from 9 to 7,
Yeah.
and I think there's
And there
7
are, in
there's
fact-
1 position available out of the 7 members. So I think there's currently 6 people sitting on the board, if I'm not mistaken.
I just want to make
So
sure.
the
we're not-
reduction in the membership of the board was reduced.
Yes.
And this opening is reflective upon the 7. That's
So-
the question.
So we currently have 6 members, so there is in fact space for 1 more. Do we agree? Okay. Didn't want to
Sure.
go through the motion and say, sorry, no room at the end.
Mr. Mead, introduce yourself to us. Let us know why you think you'll be a good fit to the board, and it's up to you.
Sure. My name is Donald Mead. I was a member of the board for 2023. I was offered a position with a colleague of mine. I thought that might take a little bit more of my time. Come to find out, I still would have time to be on the board. So I've talked to the current chair, and he said the position was available. And I'd like to be involved with that again. And I think the board is a very viable resource to the council and to the town. I'd like to be a part of that.
Sounds good. Any questions?
No.
Make a motion to approve?
I just wanted to say, thank
Mr.
you.
Trombley?
I just wanted to say thank you, Don. I served with Don on the Economic Development Board when he was on it, and I know he did a great job. He was constantly attending meetings, constantly pushing for new ideas and pushing Warren forward economically, and I think he'll be a wonderful addition to the board, and I support him completely.
Well, thank
That's a
you,
second.
Councilman Trumbull.
That is definitely a second.
I'd like to also congratulate you on your new position.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Good luck. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next, we have Juvenile Hearing Board. It's an alternate position, no applicants. Recreation Board, 1 position, no applicants. The Planning Board, we do have a position, but we're not going to advertise this anymore. We may be changing the makeup of the Planning Board and Zoning Board. There's action taking place at the State House now. And we thought that it wouldn't be fair to appoint somebody and then possibly in a month or 2, reduce that number and do whatever we may do. So that's, we're not doing that tonight. Next, we have the 250th Commission, 4 positions available, no applicants. Then we have the Tax Board of Review. We have Stephen Mark Dilag. Is he here? Thank you. Come down, please. Did I say your name correctly? Yes, you did. There you go. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've lived in Warren for 6 years. I live in his waterfront historic district, and it's lovely. We're really happy. We moved from Massachusetts, and I'm a commercial real estate appraiser. And Doug Jablinski, through Jenny Flanagan, reached out to me because I'm a commercial real estate appraiser. Have been for 32 years. I'm semi-retired. I'm currently licensed in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. I used to be licensed in Connecticut, Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. But when I got older, I consolidated. I've done, at the peak of our business, business was located in North Attleboro, Massachusetts. About 40% of our work was in Rhode Island, about 40% was in Massachusetts. The remaining was in the other states. At our peak, we were doing 500 commercial appraisals a year. So 200 were in Rhode Island per year. And we do pretty much every property type. I'm familiar with, I do tax appeal work. I'm currently working on some high profile tax appeal assignments for the owners, but I have done work for the municipalities too. And I'm currently doing working on two semi-retired, as I said. And there's a certain technique that is recognized in Superior Court to value property for a tax appeal. And I'm very familiar with that. And I'd like to give back to the community that I now live in. So I'd like to volunteer.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
You won't have to do any driving for this. Are there any questions?
I think your resume speaks for itself.
Yeah.
So.
You must have been driving a lot in your,
Well, especially when we moved to Warren and the Washington Bridge failed.
yeah. All right, is there,
Motion.
I'll
what
make
do
a
we wanna
motion to
do?
appoint.
I'll
Is there-
second.
and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you.
You're on,
Thank you.
you're on the Assessment Board of Review. Sure. About what?
About the planning board.
Oh,
Why are you postponing filling the position on the planning board? Based
I
on
already-
some speculation.
I already said that.
It's based on speculation. The board has a vacancy right now,
Correct.
needs to be filled.
It's an alternate position.
No, it isn't.
I mean,
Full-time
I'm sorry, it's full-time position. We have
Yes.
two alternates. They,
I'm one of the alternates.
Correct, so-
I want a full-time position.
correct. So I misspoke. The alternates will fill that spot without a problem. And we're thinking of
Yes, and the
rearranging.
board, right now, as it's constituted, has not reorganized on the beginning of January as they were supposed to. They haven't gone
Supposed to.
through their SOP as they were supposed to 9 years ago. The things that are gonna happen on that board, and right now, the board's refusing to act on any major.
I'm not aware of what you're talking about that should have happened in,
Actually, that's not under the Open Meetings Act. This is now you're going beyond what the agenda item was. Now you're
Yeah,
talking
so-
about
Just to a
board
point.
things.
So-
You can't do
The
that.
board needs to be filled.
okay, so respectfully, the council has decided not to fill those positions now because we may be taking a rearranging of the board.
Again, you're operating on speculation, not on what's actually there now.
And you become to act as a full member because you're an alternate. So,
That's the purpose for alternates to fill in when there's either a vacancy or an absence of a full-time member.
he's the alternate.
I know, but we have two alternates which will cover that
Correct.
vacancy.
And both of us apply for the full-time position.
Correct.
Correct. And like I said, for the last time, we may be rearranging the board and we didn't feel that it was smart to appoint somebody that we're gonna then have to remove. So right now, we're gonna be starting fresh when we start versus adding somebody and taking that person off because they're the newest person. Next, we have the Warren Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board of Directors, 2 positions, none available. Is there a motion to advertise all of these openings?
Make a motion to advertise all the current opening.
Excuse me, Mr. President, just, we should excuse the planning board then for advertisement because we may be making changes.
Good point.
Amend my motion to advertise all except the planning board position.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have acceptance of minutes. We have the February 11th, 2025 regular scheduled minutes. I didn't see anything worth changing. Anyone else?
Good.
Make a
Motion.
motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain as I was not here.
Correct. Next, we have the consent agenda. And that is one. It's petition for a victualling license. Is
Motion to pass the consent.
there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we have P2 to request for a victualling license from Stone Soup Kitchen LLC, Travis Brassard. Is the applicant here? Hello. What's up, Cupcake? Is that you? No, not you,
No.
right? All right, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
It's a warm welcome.
I'll take it.
Hi, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So our business concept is pretty simple. We just want to kind of bring back the concept of quick, reliably sourced food, quickly packaged, for busy families and parents to grab and go and in and out, and, keep ourselves grounded to local farmers in Rhode Island, Massachusetts.
What's 334 Metacom? Which building was that?
Is that,
You-
It was
are you
where
just past-
Catholic Legos used to be, past the fire station on Metacom.
so it's not Metacom
Oh, okay.
Kitchen?
Not
right
like
before.
you're-
No,
Well,
correct.
All right, yep.
All right, neat. Any
So
other
it's
questions?
more of a, it's not a dining
No,
place. It's
No,
more of you'll
it'll
have
be a
packaged
prepackaged,
prepared.
exactly. Something
Okay.
you can stop in, grab something quick and be right out.
Very
Good idea.
You're not gonna be sending no soup for you, are you?
We do
No,
have a picture.
no.
No soup for you.
We do have
No.
a picture of.
We do have a signed picture of it in the shop, but no, that will not be our policy.
Okay, good concept. I like it.
Are there any other questions of the
I'll say I
candidate?
can't wait to go there.
Awesome.
Hope you enjoy it.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you
Good
very
luck.
much.
So I'm a little out of order here. So now we have what?
Now you can say
What's up,
what's up.
Cupcake?
Now it's what's up. Yeah, all right, here we go. Next, we have a request for a mobile food establishment permit. What's up, Cupcake? It's the Cupcake here.
Yes, hello.
Hello, Ms. Borgia.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. If you'd like to tell us what you're doing.
So I had purchased a food truck from a Massachusetts-based company. I brought it to Hope in Maine. I'll be doing all of my baking out of Hope in Maine. I serve jumbo gourmet cupcakes as well as cookies, cakes, all sorts of stuff. I'll be mostly doing events with PVD food trucks. We have a few in Warren, including the Fresh Farm Pumpkin Drop and some of that stuff. So just looking to get everything all set before the season starts.
Nice. And you're all set with the state licenses?
Yes, I am.
Are there any other questions?
Motion to approve the MFE
Second.
license?
All in
Perfect.
favor?
Aye.
Good
Thank you.
luck. Thank
Good luck.
you.
Thank you.
Next, we have a request for a mobile food permit, H&D Food LLC. It's Mr. Francisco Henriquez. How are you?
Good, how you doing?
Good.
My name is Daniel Durant. I'm one of the co-owners of
Oh, all right.
H&D Food LLC with Francisco. We're gonna be doing business as the Two Muchachos over here at 747 Main Street. We're gonna be doing quick service Mexican out of a food trailer, burritos, Mexican tortas, quesadillas, and fresh churros. Combined between the two of us, we have over 30 years experience, and we look forward to working within this community, this beautiful town, and hope for approval.
And 7:30, so that's the new,
That's my name.
747.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Larry
Larry Sunoco, for anybody who grew up in Warren. Nice, good to hear. Any questions of the candidate?
The question,
mean,
I
the
just have
applicant?
one, I have one. It says the MFE registration number is still pending. You know, that you gotta get that cleared before the clerk will issue the
Yes,
the
sir.
permit. We can pass it, but she can't issue it till you
That's
meet
correct.
all those requirements.
So it'll be contingent on that. It'd be
Yes.
seamless. Once you get that done, you pick up your license.
Correct.
Is there a,
I'll make a motion of approval pending approval of the, what was it, the MFA?
The state.
state? Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
Good
Thank
luck.
you so much.
Next, we have a request for yearly entertainment license, St. Mary of the Bay, Father Upton. How are you? No, you're not.
Unfortunately, he teaches a theology class on the second Tuesday of the month, so he's not here. I don't know if you can.
We can hear
I'm
you.
a little short for that. We are here, I'm here because the town clerk brought it to our attention that if we do live music in the sanctuary that is not mass, then we need to have a permit. So we're not aware of that, and so we apologize if we may have already done it. But
true.
these events are chamber music, Christmas carols. I believe Rob Coyne does his recitals there. So
So
different events like that.
if you would have done it, couldn't you just ask for forgiveness? Yep.
Yeah, we did. We already got the big
Yeah, that
forgiveness.
goes to two.
Mr. Dis-
Apology, three Hail Marys.
Mr. DeSisto, did you research this at all, or should we pass it just in case?
Well, I'd like to consult with a higher authority. They can go ahead and approve it.
I would have never thought it would be required to have, I thought that was part of
Wait,
it,
that-
part of being a church. you
Yeah,
know?
I'm not so sure.
Well, the
Yeah.
So
entertainment
do they need a
license-
vitrilling license to pass out the communion?
I don't want to get into that.
Well, the entertainment license actually does coordinate with the fire department. Pretty much, right?
Here's the thing, this goes beyond the music and mass,
Right.
because you have other,
So that's what right. I'm not here for the music at mass. I'm here for when we have other events. Choral groups from Providence have rent churches sometimes. So we do have events where money is charged, tickets are sold. So it's different from mass, but
St. Mary's is known as a rockin'.
yeah, it could be a rager.
On this rock.
I will make a motion to approve the yearly entertainment license for St. Mary of the Bay.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Next, we have a request, permission to install pole 9-50 and to maintain poles, wires, and fixtures from Narragansett Electric and Verizon, New England, Inc. Location northeast corner of the intersection of Union and Liberty.
My only question would be to the DPW director. Did you get a chance to look at this? Is there any concern we would have over this? Or in the fire chief?
Mr. President, the fire chief, myself and the public works director go out and look at the site. And we would request a site visit with, I want to say Narragansett, Rhode Island Energy, to make sure that it's passable for turn radius for fire apparatus.
So you want, like us to continue this to next month?
Um,
Or pass it pending approval?
yeah,
Do you know when that site visit's gonna happen?
Um,
Will you let me know when it's
sure,
happening?
yeah.
Because it's my corner.
absolutely.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to make much sense that a pole even fits in that corner there.
Yeah, that's my concern. It's
So-
a tight little
so-
spot there.
I would rather continue this till next month instead of passing it, because to be honest with you, I wouldn't want to see a pole there. Would you, Sherry?
No, that's why I'm saying.
It
let me
just doesn't
know,
make
because
any
that's
sense.
Such the depth of the sidewalk there is really shallow. And there's an historic stone marker at the corner, and it would make it impassable. There's another pole just a little bit up Liberty Street that's right in the middle of the sidewalk, so it's not passable for anybody with any mobility issues
Sure.
as it is. So I'm not sure I understand how, why, wherefore.
It
of
is
all.
one. Yeah, there's
Are
one
they
person
looking to
up the
remove the one? Like right
One at a time,
directly
everyone, one at a
across the
time.
street? Or they're gonna leave them both there.
Why don't we ask for additional information after the site visit? And we can tell them that they can then reapply.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to continue, or do we need to make a motion on that?
You can make a motion to continue and request additional information
I'll do
that
that.
we can apply to the site visit.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You have it. Next, we have correspondence. I'm going to pull C12, which is from the Warren Harbor Commission. Is there anything else in correspondence anyone would like to pull? Hearing none, we'll move on. Oh, no, I need a motion to pass correspondence.
Motion.
I think they did that already.
Second, but do we discuss?
To
the
receive
12
and
first?
file.
No, I'm sorry, we're going to, all in favor?
Aye.
The one I pulled is going to be part of our discussion with the town manager, items regarding, Laurel Park. Next, we have old business. We have discussion and action regarding public access points, on-street parking regulations, outhauls, moorings, and enforcement in the Laurel Park neighborhood. Mr. Sullivan. So last month, Mr. McGreevy brought several issues and items to our attention in the public comment period. And we tasked Mr. Sullivan to look into these, and now the harbor master, the harbor commission, and the police department, we have some answers, and please.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the traffic committee did meet on February 20th to discuss the issues that were brought up at public comment last meeting, in February's meeting, or at February's meeting. Should I go down with all the items that we
Sure.
discussed at that time?
Please.
So the first item, which has been on the agenda for a couple of meetings, has been the changing of Company Street to a one-way coming in
No,
from.
I thought you were gonna go down the old business one.
Okay.
Laurel
Yeah,
Park.
yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So we did go out to Laurel Park and look at it. At that time, we were looking to get some information from the Harbor Commission. I wasn't aware the Harbor Commission was going to submit a letter, which they did, submitting a letter with their concerns on the access down there for parking. Based on that, I would like to have another discussion with the Traffic Safety Committee with the new information from the Harbor Commission to discuss the parking situation down in that area.
Fine. Any additional information?
And the other item that we discussed was the ownership of the outhauls. The harbor master has done some investigations on it. From what in the information he's given to me, I understand that those have been there for at least 20 years. And sections of them are on town property. The area has not been declared a right of way yet from the CRMC. As of yet, it's pending right of way. People have been using them, but not claiming ownership. He has the names of the individuals who are using them. The holes in the water are pilings that have been driven into the water that they're not just holes in the water, but they're huge pilings that have been driven in the water. So the concern is that it would be difficult to take the pilings out of the water because they're in there pretty deep. We could take the section or those poles that are on town property on land, take those off, and then move forward from there if the council would like us to do that.
Well, when we, I'll read into the record Mr. Kemp's letter. We are submitting this is from the Harbor Management Commission. We are submitting this letter to provide you with our perspectives concerning issues raised in Mr. Edward McGreevy's letter of February 11th. related to several outhauls in the Kickmewett River at the end of Clark Road. Relevant considerations are: 1, Town Ordinance, Section 10-58, outhauls adopted December 14th, 2021, Attachment 1, deals with outhauls and provides that up to 2 be permitted to a contiguous waterfront property owner, but not on properties which contain a recreational boating facility. Any such permit must conform with CRMC regulations, and the ordinance notes that CRMC retains the authority to revoke any permits found to conflict with the RICRMP. 2, the outhauls in question are located on town land and not on land of any contiguous property owner in a historic right-of-way identified by the commission and submitted to CRMC for their approval. 3, while the ordinance related to outhauls does provide provisions for grandfathering, we read that language as applying to outhauls installed on private contiguous property and not on public land. As such, the outhauls in question should be ordered removed. 4, while the town's ordinances provide that the harbor master enforce any ordinance or provision of the harbor management plan, Section 10-62.12, harbor master, the ordinances do not specify a permitting process or permitting fees for outhauls as they do for moorings. We recommend that the town council adopt implementation provisions for outhauls related to their registration, fee structure, enforcement, and the like, so that a process for managing them is established akin to that now in place for moorings. The Harbor Management Commission would be happy to suggest specifics to the council if they desire, and neighboring towns provide examples we can draw from. Finally, as noted in Mr. McGreevy's letter, we too have observed the placing of private no parking signs on town streets by residents and would recommend that law enforcement systematically remove these, beginning with the areas where parking is needed for access to recognized right-of-ways. Thank you respectfully, Harbor Management Commission, Woody Kemp, Chairman. So, Mr. Hanley.
Yeah, there's a couple of things in there that I see in this letter. First off, the placing of the illegal signs. Is there any way if we catch the people, we can fine them for putting illegal signs up? Yeah, I mean, that's, to me, that's unacceptable. You know, you can't just decide, I'm gonna put a no park, why don't they're gonna stop putting up? Yeah, if we catch them, fine them, if we can fine them.
If I may, I believe the signs were put up many, many years ago, and they could have been put up by the town because they look like official no parking signs. They're not hand painted signs or signs that, I mean, they could have been purchased someplace else, but.
The letter says it looks like they were put up by the residents.
Are they in
Yeah.
our ordinances? That's the question. Is,
20 years before.
Okay. Oh, okay.
so, Mr. DeSisto, if they're not in our ordinances, they're not valid, correct?
Correct. And that is a crime.
All right,
Okay.
so we'll have the traffic commission look at this whole parking situation as it entails to the whole town in regards to public access points. So, you know, anywhere there's a public access, we will have your advice on where and how people could park.
I got one more question. This would be for the solicitor. In the ordinance, it says to be permitted to a contiguous waterfront property owner. As a town, aren't we a contiguous property owner? If we wanted to have those there, couldn't we authorize those to be there?
Yeah, Woody's letter is correct, though. CRMC has jurisdiction over these outlaws. Nobody ever asked permission to these things. They were installed. And if the town wanted to have outlaws there, you could, but you need to ask for permission. Then the next question comes in, this right of way is pending, is actually, they're gonna get to it after they finish up with the westerly stuff. But, that's the next question. Is this going to impair the public's ability to get to the shore and into the water? Those are the factors that you have to take a look at. Harbor Commission is correct on all their points.
Okay.
Mr. Silva, would you like to, do you have anything you could add to this, or? If you know, not forcing you. All right. Well, please come forward and
right, then, there's not a lot written about the outhalls as far as what's legal, this is it. I mean, there's not a lot as far as. And the four of them, we both looked at it and they're not legal as they sit. They've been there 25 years. Are they really hurting anybody? We don't, we're just kind of looking at it. Remove the two that affect the right of way, I agree with. But then you start chasing down the other ones, there's probably 30 other ones in the bay that we'd be chasing as well.
Well, I mean, we can't leave something that's not legal. It's been brought to our attention.
The two that are in violation of the right of way, or
Yes.
obstructing the right of way, I absolutely think they need to be removed.
And the other two, though, we don't have any recorded information on.
Right. I know who uses them. But they claim they don't own them.
I mean, the sad reality is if they don't fall into the conformity of our ordinances, then they're not proper, and it's been brought to our attention. So, Mr. DeSisto, am I saying anything out of line here? I mean,
You're not.
so we can't take the position of, it's not hurting anyone. Unfortunately.
Right. The two in front of the right of way, I agree, have to be done. The other two clearly are not permitted in any way that we can find.
And then there's nobody claiming ownership?
One of them, the very furthest north one.
And is that
Yeah.
permitted?
No, but he also owns a dock, which eliminates him from being able to have.
Seems like you're gonna have,
Should we,
That's correct, too.
Anthony, the one that's actually admitting the ownership, should we cite him to municipal court and go that route? And then get a court order to remove it? Because if we remove something that somebody says they own, couldn't we somehow in the long run get in a pile of trouble?
The town should interpose a complaint with coastal.
Okay, so that would be the proper
Yeah,
procedure.
it clearly says
Yeah.
if you own a dock, you're not allowed to have an outlaw.
so we're bringing this area into compliance. This isn't a witch hunt. It's
No, they're.
the non-compliance has been brought
We
to our
can't find a
attention.
legal leg to stand on for any of it.
Right, so
I just didn't know how deep you want to get into it, because they're gonna start calling out the other ones in town, and we're gonna have to.
if there are other violations in town and they're brought to our attention, we can't ignore them.
Okay,
Is it difficult to remove the outholes? Is it just snip, snip, or is there like a weight?
It's a
down?
telephone pole
driven in with a pile drive. These four are like.
driven in probably 10 feet into the mud.
You could remove the cables, but not really the pole.
Right.
Yeah.
The
Mr.
cables are
Ringo?
easy enough.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was gonna say, can you just remove the cable? Why do you need to remove the poles?
You got a floating backhoe?
but do the poles protrude?
Yes,
So it's not, they're not hidden.
so what we're looking at is a telephone pole on shore, a telephone pole in the water, and a pulley system that holds your boat in the water. So when you go down, just like you pull in your laundry,
Yeah,
you
I-
pull in the boat. They're not permitted. They're gonna have to be removed. And at low tide, I guess we can cut them.
I'd like the
If
opportunity.
it exposes to the bottom, it probably doesn't, right?
No,
I'd like the opportunity to address this with the harbor master and the town manager. If refer it to me, I think I can point him in the right direction.
All right.
Yeah, I just want to make sure if we're gonna be taking somebody's property, we got all our ducks in a row because.
Well, nobody wants to say they own.
Right, well, one guy claimed one of them.
Yeah,
So-
he legally can't.
This
Mr.
is where
President.
Dave is correct. Start with the ones that are obstructing the public access.
Yeah.
That is the main issue, and I don't think it's gonna be difficult to address. These other issues we're talking about, that speculation at this point, and there's a whole procedure for that, which I'd like to talk to everybody about. But if I did it, you guys would be out of here about 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Great. Mr. Tromley.
I'd like to make a motion to refer this matter to the solicitor for further action. Is that appropriate?
Sounds
I
good.
think that's good. I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Discussion and action regarding State Transportation Improvement Program, the STIP priority list. Mr. Wheeler, come on down.
Good evening. I gave everybody a memo kind of outlining some of the STIP projects that are already in the works. The top 6 projects are not they can't be reassigned or reprioritized. They've already been funded and process has been moving forward. The second section has 3. Those can technically be reprioritized, but they are already prioritized by year. So actually the STIP 1419 is actually the top priority. And 1418 is a second and 1408 is the last priority. So that brings us to step 3 or bullet 3, which is the state is looking for projects for the next 10 years. And we get to prioritize how we see fit. I've jotted down some ideas that have been talked about numerous times throughout town. And then I've left some spaces that I can add in anything that you would like us to put in there. And I can put this in the system and get them on the list and hopefully they get picked up by the state.
All right, so we're looking at the Main Street corridor, safe routes to school. Oh, no, those are the ones that are already done, right?
Those are the ones that are already in the works.
In the works. Okay, so basically we're at number 3.
Yeah, yes.
So extension for the Warren Bike Path to the Broken Bridge, to the East Bay Bike Path, road diet from Medicum Avenue, similar to Bristol, Child Street at Long Lane traffic light or roundabout, intersection at Market Street, Miller Street, and Main Street redesign, Belcher's Cove drainage issues, stretching back to the Warren Boulevard, and a rotary at Belcher's Cove, at Malik's, instead of that light.
No, it's at Long Lane.
That's,
Correct.
Alex
In other
is
words, I
not-
want an additional,
Yeah, that is a good idea.
you know, we stopped to take a right or a left when everybody could just do a road right there and not have traffic piled up. So I've been asking for that for 20 years. Anything else?
Can I just ask, oh, sorry. What's a
Mr.
road,
Cronin?
what's a road diet?
The road diet would be shrinking it down to a turning lane in the middle with a single travel lane in each direction on the side.
Send it.
It would widen your breakdown lanes as well.
Okay,
Like
Most of the time, every time we bring it up, they tell us, no, it doesn't fit the traffic design in the area, but we keep asking because I actually
so
think we all think it would work better.
it would streamline where on Metacommon Avenue where Warren turns into Bristol and we go.
It would be more in line with that as well as you get further down.
It would be the same as Bristol. Market Street comes in at 2 lanes, turns into 4, only in Warren. Then when you get to the Bristol line, it turns into 2 lanes with a turning lane. I'm glad everybody outside of Warren appreciates telling us how we should have Medicum Avenue. Ms. Flanagan. Mr. Trombley, go right ahead, Mr. Trombley.
I just wanted to add a 3-way stop at Long Lane and Schoolhouse Road. I heard a lot from folks that that was an area of concern. So I think that would be appropriate.
Jenny Flanagan, 46 Washington Street. If we do a road diet on Medicum Avenue, can we add bike lanes?
Possibly. They won't, it just falls on deaf ears. They did it in Bristol and stopped.
Well, but
In
they don't
Warren.
have bike lanes in Bristol and it's a narrower right of way in Bristol. I think there's enough space in Warren to have a breakdown lane, a bike lane, sidewalks on both sides, 2 travel lanes and a center turn lane.
And remember, while we were asking this request, they put in new sidewalks and pedestrian lights and everything. So it's in the exact area we're talking about.
So let's get the language very clear in there about what we want, maybe even draw a diagram.
So
make
I
a
have
picture.
I also have their kind of grading rubric
Yep.
and bike lanes get they get higher grades, so.
There you go. Mr.
Right.
Bolster, what would you like to add to the list?
Hi, everybody. Just actually to amplify on the topic at hand, I did a couple of schematics.
Oh, that's okay. These are just requests, like
I know, but
asking the
just
tooth
to
fairy for
conceptualize
something.
it. And also, the crossing at Medicom where the bike path would be, to add a couple of like islands to make it a safe crossing. So that can all be incorporated into it.
Hopefully, if we ever get to a design review.
So I think this is the good opportunity for us to really push what we want. If you have 10 items, they're gonna look at them all, but the 10th one's probably not gonna get picked up. But your top one is gonna be the one they're gonna be looking at the hardest. So this is our opportunity to say which one we want.
Mr. Hannon.
It's one of those, we're looking to put these in, and I'm looking at these right here, and there's one that is sticking out to me like a sore thumb.
Say
The
it.
Belcher's Cove, the drainage at Warren Boulevard. You know how long we've been fighting that?
Not Belcher's Cove, Warren Boulevard.
Belcher's Cove drainage issue,
It's-
stretching back to the Warren Boulevard
Yeah,
area.
it's-
They
it's all
tie together
connected.
Oh, yeah.
eventually. I mean, that's been,
I know.
if we get the state to address, we've been trying to fight that for what, 20 years?
At least.
That, to me, that would be my top priority right off the bat. Let's see. if we
And I
can
know
get
that it
solved.
kind of,
Ties into
Yeah.
to your issue over
but I'm
here.
thinking
yeah.
if we get all these things together, you know, we can,
That one's more of a, not just a road issue, but yeah, it'd be great to get it.
Yeah,
You
that's
get
like-
cemeteries, you get the,
We can
behind
put
Hoppo's house.
resilience somewhere in,
Resilience, I-
resilience somewhere in the
Yeah.
request, and it'll jump right up to the top.
Does anybody else have a wish list item for, we can send to the state? All right, here comes Jenny Flanagan. Is it K Jenny or is it Jenny K Flanagan?
Jenny K,
There you
Jenny
go.
Flanagan again. There's a flasher on the bike path on Market Street. Why is there not a flasher on the bike path on, I'm sorry, on Child Street, but not on Market Street? Why is there not one on Market Street? It's a state road and it's as busy as Child Street.
There's one on
There's one on
Franklin
Franklin.
Street, yeah.
there is one on Market that's not on yet, I think. I think that one still has issues. The one at Cumbies?
Yeah.
But this,
Yeah, that's a whole issue.
All right, put that on there too. What does this mean?
Instead of
Oh,
clapping.
okay, I wasn't.
So we gotta assign an order to these, I would imagine, right? One through 1, 2, 3.
We have to
4, 5.
prioritize these?
That's what it says.
To the best you can, and I can wiggle around with the buzzwords.
Well, I think that anything that gets higher already approval should be at the top. Right?
I mean, I know that we've really, the drainage, the bike path, those have been real hot topics as priorities. I would say those are probably your one A, it, you know.
Yeah, and then, you know, the road diet probably be last. And that's about it. I mean, I don't know how else to prioritize.
And then the other
these
ones,
things.
I would say maybe
I mean, they're all important to us.
right.
And they're all issues that somebody
I
absolutely
mean,
has heard.
once we get 1 and
20
2,
times from the
once
town
we
of
get
Warren.
1 and 2, and we got the last one for the road diet, it just leaves 2 more for, and I don't think the order is gonna be that much different. on
Yeah,
that.
I really, I
Yeah.
think, I leave it up to Mr. Wheeler. Prioritize them how you think they will possibly stand the chance of success. Because they're all important, but they're all outside of our domain because they're state issues. So it's,
Studying all the buzzwords, don't worry.
it's crazy. Do we need an action on this, Mr. Sisto? Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the existing TIP projects and to instruct the DPW director to prioritize as directed.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have new business. Discussion and action regarding a resolution to Senator Jack Reed requesting assistance from the Army Corps of Engineers. This is Councilman Ragos.
Yeah, so a couple of months ago, I sat in a meeting here with Diane Williamson, the planner from Bristol. And we were talking about our flood issues and she was talking about hers. And one of the things she told me is to Senator Reed's office, they were able to get the Army Corps of Engineers to come to Bristol. So I thought it'd be a good idea if they're in Bristol, maybe they could come here to Warren also, and it was worth a try. So that's the intent.
Do you want to just send it to him or you want to send it to all the federal?
But I know that Jack Reed was able to do it for Bristol, so
Well,
I
what's-
figured,
What specifically are we asking the Army Corps to do?
well, to look at our flooding issues and our drainage issues.
Because it wasn't
Town of
included in the, it's not included.
I'm sorry, it
so-
wasn't?
No. So I was
Yeah,
curious. So we're gonna add our drainage and flooding issues.
flooding and drainage, yes.
Any particular areas or I don't think they're gonna want to look at the whole town.
I think, well, I'm thinking more the Belcher's Cove area, but I think it's all connected.
I
would
think Belcher's Cove would be a priority, and then we could also, if you agree, if the council agrees, simply put in all of our egress points. So basically the
Yeah,
3 parts of town. I mean, the south end does get a little flooding, but I
Mhm.
think they fixed that.
Yep.
But who knows? That's how I think we should address a public safety issue regarding flooding. It's the only three ways in and out of town.
Yep.
So, any more discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Send that off to Jack Reed. Next, we have discussion and action regarding Union Street, a one-way going south to north. This is Councilman Rago.
Yeah, so I know that this went to the traffic commission and I know that they were looking at it from north to south. And I've been driving down that road for years and years and years and never really had an issue, but lately, even going down Miller Street, it seems like it's awfully tight. And what I've come to the conclusion, it's not any tighter. What's happened is we have more people parking on the road. And Union Street is a situation where we never had that problem, but now it seems like they're taking up all the parking spots. So before, where you could weave in between parked cars, you can't. And my concern is not so much about the residents, it's more of the rescue squad. Sometimes the bottom of Miller Street gets very congested and the top of Miller Street gets very congested. So I'm looking at Union Street and being an avenue for the rescue squad to come out of and have other alternatives. They can keep going down Union Street, we'll take left on Miller, they can take a right, and that's where I'm coming from with this, looking at that, looking at it from south to north.
I think it makes sense because, as you noted, the parking is all on one side. There's no way to weave in and out. And we have people who don't want to back up. So when you are now bumper to bumper with a car looking at each other, it turns into a real issue, and it's been happening more and more. Union, the majority of Union south of Liberty, north of Liberty is a one-way. So this motion, the traffic commission looked at this, and how do you feel about this going one way, continuing with the long length? Anybody want to speak for the traffic commission?
I believe when we looked at it the first time, there was a concern that the ambulance wouldn't be able to go.
Right, it
because
was
it'd be
the
a one
opposite
way, right.
direction.
Yeah, I think during our discussions and just our recent trip out there, I felt the fire chief was comfortable with making that a one-way, which would be
north.
North, yes.
So the long section as well as the small section between Miller and Liberty will be a one-way in the same direction. Any other discussion on this?
Chief, you are.
Want to send it back to the traffic commission?
No, I'd like to take action. I mean, the summer's coming. I live there, and I guess I can be an expert witness to the fact that people, some people, they stop beeping horns. It gets really weird how you would continue seeing a car. But Mr. Rago brings up a good point. Once you're there, there's only a few driveways. So these people really start to just maybe not know where to go because there really isn't some place to go. Then if a third car comes behind, now nobody's going to tell the other guy to back up, and it's Joe.
I'm not really concerned about cars. I'm more concerned about the rescue squad. As we get older, we depend on those rescue squads, and I hate to see them tied up in traffic because of that.
Well, that's the cars. That's what they would be tied up in. But
And
you
again,
don't
years
care
ago,
about the
we never
cars.
had any problems because there was plenty of open space.
I understand.
Yeah.
Keep
I'm
in mind,
supporting your position.
keep in mind though, that the cars parking on Union Street in that section that now becomes one way will be parking facing south.
Turned around.
Yeah.
Turned around with their driver's side to the curb, which is not the natural.
No, that's what the rest of Union is.
No, I know, but it will mean a change in parking direction along with it all. So
I'll start the trend.
There will be confusion at first.
Well, they'll either follow me or blame me when I put my car in the other direction. So I think,
People park in the wrong direction anyway.
I know. I think we should take action on it. It's a couple of signs, and we should see how it works out for this summer season. And
I don't have a problem with even putting a 6-month sunset and then we look at it again, but I don't see why we would.
all right, is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have this parking showing which side, so they'll know to still park on that side? Do we have parking this side only signs there as well? We may want to put some of them up.
Well, it'll just turn continuous with,
Yeah.
with Union. I mean, it's a one-way street. You can't park on the right side of a one-way street. We park on the left sides of one-way streets.
No, we'll park, yeah, no, I can park on, you can park on either side, whichever side we tell them to park on.
Well,
Yeah.
kind of no.
The ordinance will determine, the ordinance
Yeah.
determines if you're on the west side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And logic will prevail that you're driving in the right side, on the east side. Okay. Next, we have a town manager. We have an update from the traffic committee. Traffic committee's in the spotlight tonight.
Thank you, Mr. President. As I started just talked earlier about the changing of Company Street from two-way to make it a one-way coming in from Water Street. The recommendation from the committee is that we move forward with that recommendation.
And again, that's dealing with the safety issue of people coming
That's it.
front bumper to front bumper and then trying to back out onto Water
The one
Street.
on the side of Casals, right?
Correct.
And you didn't get any pushback from the neighbors who received the abutters letters or who received the notification?
Correct. We did send out letters. We received one phone call, or I received one phone call. I spoke to the gentleman, the fire chief spoke to the gentleman, and he was okay with turning it into a one-way coming in from Water Street.
So what I would like to include on this, if the council approves this, which I think they will, readdress the no parking, because right now, the no parking is set up to deal with people taking rights and lefts. But now the driveways there will only be leaving, so you know where the spot I'm talking about, that big. So that'll be big relief for that little street. Is there a motion to approve this?
Make a motion to change Company Street to a one-way west.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
When is this all going to take place? For the Liberty Street change or the Union Street and now the Company Street change?
I'm sorry.
When will this all take place?
I would, we need to give some time, I would think. We need to put up maybe some message boards to let people know that we're gonna have a change in,
We're a resilient neighborhood.
you want to
Get
do it
out
right
there,
away.
change it.
Joe get out there with his flashlight and his orange vest.
I mean, maybe a sawhorse with a sign, one way, and then once it happens, everybody who's there lives there, and then everybody visits, will see I don't know.
Fair enough.
Unfortunately, there are people who drive up State Street and down Church Street and vice versa, so
There's a gentleman who maybe has a question. Come forward.
please come forward.
I was just wondering, with Johnson Street.
Could you state your name?
Oh, sorry. Brock Walsh of 14 Vernon Street. I was just wondering then if Johnson Street would be turned into a one-way the other way, so you make kind of a little.
No, it's going, Johnson and Westminster will be two-way, and Company coming down will be one-way. So you'll go down to the water, take a left and up, or if you're coming down Johnson, you can go down Westminster and then stop, back up, but you won't be going up. The going up is the problem with someone coming down. And we have businesses there that need Johnson and Westminster to be a two-way for the boat and Dyer Boatyard and Janowski's Boatyard. So, any other discussion? Is a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Next, the committee discussed the situation on Bay Road and Fairview Avenue that was mentioned during public comment at the February council meeting. I would request that you allow us to reach out to the Harbor Commission to get the additional information on the situation. Correct?
Correct, yes.
Next, we have the harbor master is working to determine ownership, usership of the outfalls located on Clark Road. Currently, it's my understanding that the end of Clark Road has not yet been declared an official right of way, CRMC. So those are just a little going back and forth. No problem. What is it?
I'm just trying to track the agenda. I apologize.
Town manager.
Update from traffic committee, correct?
Yeah, did you get the memo?
Yes. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right memo. I apologize. Thank you.
Am I?
Yes.
I think so.
Yes, you're good, Joe.
That's what you want to double check on.
Understood.
Yeah.
Next, we have discussion and action regarding grants to the town of Warren.
Yes, Mr. President, the state of Rhode Island gave two grants to the town of Warren. One is called Ready, Set, Roadie, which is an initiative part of the Rhode Island Commerce Corporation. Rhode Island Commerce has hired a vendor who was Fuss and O'Neill, and they will be doing a study on 12 communities that have had flooding issues in business areas. And Warren was fortunate enough to be one of those 12 communities, and it'll be the Water Street Business District that they will be looking at.
Nice.
That's great and everything, but are we going to get yet another report that just says, yes, sea level rise is happening and resilience is needed? And we get these reports and it's not telling us anything we don't know. So it would be great if we got some money to actually address the issues,
Agreed.
like to do something, not just say, keep, the investigators in business. I don't know.
As far as I know, it's going to be recommendations again, but
Stations with nothing to back it up. So
Yeah.
how about if we save that grant money for what we know we need to do?
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know what.
That was my question.
Okay.
Mr. Tromley.
My question is, this Ready, Set, Roadie, is this going straight from Commerce straight to Fuss and O'Neill?
correct, yes.
So we don't have the opportunity to deny or to say we have better use for these funds. We have to go.
Oh, yeah, no, the
No.
one, this is like. when-
I agree wholeheartedly with Councilwoman Cronin because we know what the problems are. We need money to fix them, not money to study them, but we appreciate the thought nonetheless, I suppose.
Yes, Mr. Rego, thank you.
I'm just trying to think, I mean, I know the area of Water Street for many, many years. When was the last time we had a flood on Water Street, other than maybe on Main Street, at the end of Main Street, but I've never seen any flood waters come up. Have you? Has any, John, you've been in town,
Wolf
Joe?
Avenue floods once every.
Yeah, that's
5
not
years.
Water Street, not even close to Water Street.
Well, it might be a short report, but the
Well,
interesting thing
I've
about
never
this
seen it
is
come
it's
up
out
on
of
the
our
road.
control.
Yeah, well, my concern is these are my tax dollars. That's
Well,
my
they've
concern.
already spent. It's out of our control. So we don't have Elon here. Next, we have
The second,
grant.
yeah, the second grant, Mr. President, is a part of the Learn 360 project, which is governor's initiative to increase education and attendance at school. This program is called Math Matters. The town received $40,000, which will be used by the Social Services Department, working with Parks and Recreation during the summer to increase mathematics skills for K through 8 students.
Mr. Johnley.
This is for the solicitor. So typically, when we're awarded money, there is some sort of obligation on the town, whether to do something or refrain from doing something. In exchange for this 40,000, what does Warren or Bristol Warren, because it's for the schools, have to do or not do? Is there any obligation on us?
Well, yeah.
What does that entail? It doesn't, there's not really much of a description. I don't, no offense on that, but what is this program? What do we have to do?
From what I understand, and I can get you further details on that, but it's a program where math teachers are hired as tutors for students over the summer programs. And we have to use it between the end of the school year and September. So it has to be used during the summer.
This grant to the town, or is it administered by the Bristol Warren Regional School District?
No, the town is going to be administering this
Through the recreation department?
through social services and with conjunction with recreation. So they'll be working together.
See, this is where my confusion is because we have a regionalized school district. So my thought would be that the money would go to the regionalized school district to pay for this, not to the town individually. Because I defer to the solicitor on that, or the finance director, because he's shaking his head at me.
The 365 program has been around for a while. Basically, it hires teachers to tutor these kids during the summer, which are Warren town kids, not, anything to do with the regional school district.
So, okay, so again, we were getting this grant for math. So the summer Parks and Rec kids are gonna be pulled out to do math skills?
We're gonna make Miss Thibodeau come walking down here on
I mean.
one good leg.
It's-
Let's do the math on this.
So it is a grant. We have actually utilized them in the past. So the last one was bat houses. So the last program that we had received from the Learn 365 through the governor was bat houses. We work with the Bristol Warren School District for that project. This is not working with the Bristol Warren School District. This is working through the Parks and Recreation Department.
Back houses?
Bat
houses.
Bat houses. The kids designed them, they did work on them, and then we put them around town. So this project is a math tutorial, and the summer program is going to facilitate it. So the parents will have to obviously put their children into the program. And then we have math teachers from Hugh Cole School that will be working with the students throughout the summer.
Good.
If you recall, this was an initiative of Governor
Yeah.
McKee.
He came here and signed it.
Yes.
He signed and everything else, but specifically it was for the municipalities to administer and not school departments.
Correct.
I'm sorry, Jim. Next question.
Go right
I
ahead.
still don't know what a bath is.
Bat.
Like the
BAT.
Batman, like that.
A bat?
A bat.
So the
How?
bats to live in. The
Oh.
bats, there's homeless bats too, you know.
Well, no, bats are very good. They kill the mosquitoes, so we put them
That's a good
around town
explanation. No, that is good.
to, in areas that,
So do we need an action? Or are these already awarded to the town?
It's already been awarded to the town. It's just, this was more of
Just
a
announcement?
notification get for you.
All right.
Yes.
And Mr. Rigo,
Oh, I'm sorry.
there is a housing price, affordable housing price of that.
See if you can get them counted.
You had to rub it in. Tony, you had to rub it in.
Okay,
You know, I'm still feeling it. You know that.
I know, so am I. Discussion and action regarding the grants, all right, from Interlocal Trust.
Yes, Mr. President. So the Interlocal Trust had a competition for health and safety grants. The town of Warren was awarded a health and safety grant of $2,000. That the grant was put in by Social Services Department. One of the items that was part of the grant is a camera or some kind of a system for downstairs. It's kind of isolated down there and away from other people in the building, so it would help knowing what was going on down there. And the other was to upgrade a door. I believe the item that was requested to upgrade is upstairs in the manager's office, right in that area. That's what the grant application indicated.
All right. Good. Next, we have discussion regarding, no action. Discussion regarding letter from RI Traffic Commission concerning the installation of a no turn on red sign at the intersection of Medicum Avenue and Child Street.
This was brought to the State Traffic Commission. Their attention was brought by a resident that on Medicom Avenue heading north, I think it would be north, at the intersection of Child Street, there's no, you can make a right-hand turn on red there. If you're on Child Street heading towards Medicom Avenue, there is a no turn on red at that intersection. The state looked at that and determined that there was site issues, and therefore they are going to install a no turn on red at that intersection northbound at Child Street.
Okay, no action needed from the council. Next, we have an update on the EPA Congressional Direct Spending Award to the town of Warren.
Yes, Mr. President, this is on the 14th of February, there was a kickoff meeting with the Environmental Protection Agency. This concerned a Congressional Direct Spending Grant that was put in 2023. And this grant was put in for the main pumps at the wastewater treatment facility. The amount that was put in for was $2,240,000. I wanted to bring this to your attention because there is a cost share for the town of $560,000. We are still working on the application. We haven't accepted the grant yet, but we are working on the application to put into EPA. But I wanted to bring this to your attention so that you're aware of that.
So at this point, there's no action needed,
There is no action needed.
and what is needed would be 560,000.
I would say we probably bring that up at budget time. It's definitely gonna have to be a budgeted item,
I
one
mean,
way or the other,
Not this year, but
if we do it.
yeah. We'll have to, further investigate, do our due diligence on it, and we'll be looking at it in the near future. Mr. Rego,
So between this project and the rails project, the other one was like $2 million.
No, that
No,
was
the-
about 400 and change.
yeah, the rails
Yeah.
were,
I believe you're thinking of the electrical upgrade that
We got the grant for.
we had a grant for, and we were able to use a grant from Rhode Island DEM as the town's match. So
Yeah.
there's no out-of-pocket expense for
What was the total on that? Was it 2 million too?
that was,
we're getting off the agenda.
yeah.
You can look into
Yeah,
that,
okay, that's fine.
President,
Mr. Tromley.
just with everything that's going on in Washington, is there any way to get assurances from the EPA that this money is going to be there to complete this project?
Well, we have to come up with 560,000 first.
Right, but their share is 2.2, or, well, I'll defer to the solicitor because he's raising his hand.
That's an issue that's on my mind too. EPA's budgeted at 65% so far.
Hmm.
So it's my understanding that the money's already been received. Is that correct?
The town has not received the money,
Not
no.
for this grant.
No.
No, not for the electrical upgrade we have.
That's a separate grant.
It's
This
totally different.
This is a different grant.
Okay, I'm talking about the one that's on the subject here. The
This-
question is, money received for EPA to correct grant.
No, we have not received any money from, we are in the process of filling out the application for EPA. So, it was budgeted, it was in the, budget of 2024. But,
So the grant was awarded, but the money hasn't been received.
correct, we have no money in our pocket, correct.
Okay, and if we don't get the money, you don't have to come up with 560.
Correct. And even if we get the money, we have to come up with 560 that we don't have, so.
The point is that the EPA's budget.
Understood.
is one of the most significant.
And the good news is we do have the money for the electrical upgrade.
Yes.
Next, we have the big names, the solicitor. Dun, dun, dun. Request a motion for executive session, closed session pursuant to RIGL 4246-5 subsection A2 Warren Landfill Solar Project.
Motion for executive session for the landfill solar project.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Tromley,
Aye.
Cronin,
Aye.
Hanley.
Aye.
There you go.
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have request a motion for executive session, closed session pursuant to RIGL 4246-5 subsection A1 personnel.
Motion for executive session for personnel.
Second. Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All in favor, aye. Request a motion for executive session, closed session pursuant RIGL 4246-5 A2 litigation, discussion and possible action on Town of Warren versus Suez Environmental Services, Inc.
Motion
Go
for
ahead.
executive session for Warren versus Suez Environmental Services.
Second. Aye.
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 There it is. Nice. Action on matters discussed in the executive session. That'll be after.
That would be after, yes.
Finance Director, Revenues and Expenditures.
Evening.
Wow, you jumped right up there.
You may recall that in the February meeting, I told you that our collections in January were a little bit light, but that I expected to make it up in February and March, and that's pretty much what happened. In February, we collected 2.2 million against a 3-year moving average of about 1.5. So we made up almost all the shortfall in January and brought us within 1.5% of where we should have been. And we expect to catch up this month. You'll note in your materials that we're showing no year-to-date revenues for the sewer fund. We discussed this last month. I don't know how this happened, to be honest. On February 5th, I moved funds from the tax account to the sewer fund in the amount of $1,172,596. But it didn't show up in the revenue and expense report. I was on the phone for an hour today with the Edmonds rep, and they couldn't figure it out either. So they elevated it to the next level and they're working on it.
Great.
So hopefully next month you'll see some revenue in the sewer fund.
Dave?
Yes.
So you took it out, so the number that we have for revenue is the actual number minus the 1.3 million? Or it just never came out of that?
I'm not following you.
Well, so you took out $1 million out of the general revenue, right? To put into the sewer revenue.
Correct.
So does this number reflect minus the $1 million that you took out, or it never came out of that account?
It hasn't come. That's another question that they were. It's a very complicated adjustment. You can see it, it's like 15 lines.
So was the total revenue for this month, was it $1.9 million?
No, it's 2.23 or somewhere in that neighborhood.
Excuse me, Mr. President.
2.26.
Point of information, I'm not sure which document or handout's being referred
It
to.
didn't,
at this
it,
moment.
Yeah.
it was the one that was emailed out.
Right.
Correct.
I don't.
Oh, it's not in this agenda document. It's in a previous one from the finance director, I believe.
Okay.
So is this a software problem?
We don't know.
But Edmonds is the software company,
Correct.
correct? All right, can we, it's not an agenda item, but we need to deal with that software issue and get beyond it. And I guess we're waiting on answers to these questions.
We got a budget meeting coming up.
Yeah.
If we can advertise to go out for bid, maybe we could take action there if it works out that way.
We'll see. We'll discuss it. So unfortunately, we're waiting on an answer to these questions that are outside of your.
Well,
purview. I mean, the money got moved, right?
yeah, they don't know.
Do we have the money still?
Yeah, we sure.
Oh, we do.
Absolutely.
Just don't know where the hell it is.
The money didn't go anywhere.
Oh, all right. I thought the
Yeah.
worst case was
No.
you sent this money off and
No.
they don't
We
have
didn't
it.
send
All
it. We didn't send it anywhere.
right. Okay,
So Joe, just a quick question.
Mr. Rayo.
So on the general revenue, when I'm looking at this number here, it looks like we brought in $1,925,983, correct? That would be the total
Correct.
revenue. So out of that, were you trying to take that million out of the sewer, out of that 1.9?
No.
Where were you gonna take that $1 million out of?
Well, it comes out of the general revenue,
So this is.
but not necessarily out of the money that we collected last month.
So where would it come out of? If it doesn't come out of there?
It would be year-to-date number.
Okay.
Or I'll show you where it came out of when we get to the fund balances.
Okay.
Okay,
Go right ahead.
hmm?
I said go right ahead.
Okay. The next thing, I have 4 requests for funds to cover budget shortfalls. The first 3 are for the police. You should have a thing just like this. Chief Borges and I have worked out a plan to address all 3 of these issues. The first one is police overtime. You can see it totals $38,275 that we think we're going to be short between now and the end of the year. On the right-hand side, you can see the accounts that we propose to take it from: the holiday pay, the differential, the Riptide, Office of Highway Safety is reimbursement that we get from the state from RIDOT or not, from the, who is it? Highway Safety. Police escrow account. You may recall that, over a year ago, one of our police officers was suspended without pay pending his court thing. We put away the money for his salary in case we had to pay it. We didn't have to pay it. So it's sitting there and it's available to help the police department out. So I ask that you approve the plan here for the police overtime.
Okay. Anybody have anything else to say? They have it right here
No.
with the shortages.
Just
where they can
identify
take
where
it
it
from.
comes
Mr. President, I still,
Mr. Trump.
is it this one
Yeah.
over here? Okay, thank you. I just.
Okay, is there a motion to accept this request?
Motion to accept and approve the plan presented for cover the overages in the police overtime.
There's a second. I'll second it. Any discussion on the motion? Seems pretty straightforward. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one has to do with overtime for the dispatch group. This results from one of the dispatchers on maternity leave, which requires paying of overtime to fill in the time that she would normally work. And that accounts to almost $30,000, believe it or not. So you can see how much we need. We have some already. And on the right-hand side again is the plan where to get it. The police escrow that we just talked about. We have a small amount we got reimbursed, and it's already in the account. The third one is the assistant part-time animal control officer who left. And his half of his pay is still there. So we're using part of that pay to pay for this. To pay for the dispatch overtime.
Okay,
So I ask that you approve that.
So
Mr. Rego.
can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
So you're gonna transfer the funds from one account to the other. So next month, when we look at this budget sheet, it should reflect that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I hope so. They're doing their job.
Okay.
Okay, so is there a motion to accept that plan?
I'll make a motion to accept plan presented, cover the overtime for dispatcher as presented by the town finance director.
And this is bringing our line items into closer reality of where we'll be
Correct.
next year, hopefully. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
thank you.
You're welcome.
The last one is simple. When the assistant ACO left, that required the ACO to work overtime to fill in the gap. So we're basically taking the assistant ACO salary and moving it over to the ACO overtime account so that we can get through the rest of the year.
All right. and Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to make the adjustment to the ACO overtime as presented by the finance director to take it from the assistant ACO account to cover it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next one is the sewer operations account. We need $50,000. And that is not going to last for the whole year. That will last maybe another month and a half. We have it available in the wastewater management account, which primarily does pump outs and the inspections of the septic system. But I don't know how it got over budgeted, but it's got more than it needs. So this $50,000 will get us a month or two.
So if we pull it out of the wastewater management account, it's not gonna
Right.
throw that account into the red by the end of the year, is it?
No, no.
Mr. Conley.
Mr. Burlingham, so this will get us through the next 2 months, but we have how many months until the end of the fiscal year?
Well,
5.
July 1st.
yeah.
5. So how do you propose we get through the other 3?
We're not sure yet, to be honest.
If you recall, Mr. President, we spoke about this, I believe it might have been in January.
Mhm.
And at that time, we discovered that the plant operations, which is the day-to-day operations of the wastewater treatment plant, had not been budgeted accurately. We spend about $68,000 for plant operations a month. And much of that is electric and gas. If you recall, 255,000 of that is electric costs for the operations of the facility. I'm not sure where we'll be able to get the money from to cover the overages on this.
Good question on the sheet. Brian, I saw where you got the 255, 388. On this sheet, are these percentages what we're over so far?
No. Those are the percentages of that particular cost of the whole amount.
Okay,
So it's just showing that electricity costs us 53% of what we.
so the 50,000 we're over, 53% of it was due to the electric.
Correct.
Okay.
So the sad reality is probably going to be the little tiny bit of buffer room we have in the general fund is going to shrink. And there's going to be an adjustment to the sewer usage fee.
Correct.
Which should mathematically come out to this number.
Correct.
So last year, when we were dealing with all of our financial issues, we didn't have a good heads up on changing the sewer usage fee. So we shot ourselves in the foot. So unfortunately, that's where it's going to come from.
Okay.
There's not much debate on this, and we're just lucky we have that little bit of cushion that we have.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Just to follow up on one thing, because I believe at the January meeting was discussed that the electric bill was unusually high based on previous budgeted allocations. Was there any follow-up with Rhode Island Energy as to an explanation on that or what was going on? To the best of your knowledge, Mr. Manager or Mr. Burlingham?
There's been no follow-up with Rhode Island Energy. I can certainly look into it, but I think the sewer treatment plant is just like everyone else's electric bill where it's unusually high. And I think there was a hearing last night at the PUC, which many people expressed their concern as to why their electric bill is so high.
December, January, and February, my electric bill jumped through the roof too, so.
Mine did too. I just remember, and perhaps I'm misremembering, but I did remember at that meeting we had discussed following up with them, but perhaps I'm misremembering. So-
We will again. We'll make a phone call. Mr. Rego?
Just a quick question. So when I'm looking at this 480,672, is this what we're gonna be short
No, that's what we spent to date.
today?
Yeah.
Just on operation?
Yep.
All right, is there a motion to move this and
I will make a motion to move $50,000 from wastewater management to sewer operations to cover the shortfalls as presented by the finance director. I'd also like to possibly come forward with a plan because this isn't gonna make us to the rest of the year. So
right, but let's keep the one motion.
Yep.
Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. The other one doesn't need to be a motion. It's just,
The next one is we're gonna do our due diligence
we're gonna
and
need
enter
answers,
into the
yeah.
budget session. Next we have
You have a
cash
new,
balance
you have a
report.
new report, the cash
Yeah.
balance report. Which kind of gives us a picture of where we are in terms of cash, how much we got, how much is restricted, and what we have to use. If you find this useful, I'll be happy to put it in your package every month.
yeah, gives me a
So
pretty
I
good
mean,
look at it.
it's handy, but it ebbs and flows.
Sure.
So, you know, without knowing what's going out,
So the problem I have with this cash balance sheet is this, when you look at it, you think, wow. When you look at what we have brought in this month, we're at 75% at 24 million. Well, we've only expended 65%. So the difference between those two is about $3.3 million. So if you take that $3.3 million and you back it out of here, you're gonna get a totally different number. The other thing is that $1 million, if that $1 million from the sewer hasn't come out of here, it has to come out of the revenue and go into this other the sewer operation. So that'll bring us down another $1 million. And the third thing is, when we look at the money we have, and I've brought this up before, that extra $1.3 million that we borrowed, I believe that should be a restricted fund. That doesn't mean that we can't use it, but should be only on an emergency basis. So I think this is perceiving something that I don't think is really accurate.
well, it is accurate. It's in the general fund.
What
and
I'm
if
trying
we
to
didn't-
explain to you,
I understand the full explanation. If we didn't
because I
have it,
mean, if
you wouldn't.
you get paid on Friday and you don't pay any of your bills, yeah, you got a lot of money.
Right, well, this doesn't show
All
what.
right, gentlemen,
what
That's my
still has to
point.
come out.
gentlemen, we wanted
This
this,
is just cash on
we
hand.
want to discuss what's in front of us here.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing.
I know, but then you're extending into additional what we should and shouldn't do with what we have, not have.
Well, we're talking about the budget, Joe.
No, we're not.
We're talking about the cash balance
We're talking
sheet.
about the cash
Correct.
balance.
And,
sheet.
and
Which
I,
isn't
what,
talking about
this,
making a
this is
restricted
telling me
account.
the cash balance, it's as of that date. Now, tomorrow we could expend another $1.5 million, and of course, these numbers are gonna change.
But John, what I'm referring to isn't the restricted account of the 1.3.
No, I'm not saying anything about
I know he
restricted.
was.
All right,
I'm
I'm
trying
just
to, I'm
talking
trying to
about
keep it back on
this
this.
cash balance sheet. It shows me on the day he printed this where we are.
Yes.
If we expended $1 million the day after he printed this, obviously this sheet's gonna be wrong. It just gives us a general idea. I mean,
Okay, let's
So,
move on,
yeah.
Mr. Tromley.
Yes, Mr. Burlingham, for the next, I find this very helpful to me, at least to know where we are currently with what we just have in the bank. That's very helpful to me. But for the next month's report, do you think it would be possible to include a third section or a third category just showing the change from month to month in the accounts? Would that be possible? Just showing this was as of 2/28/25 and this is as of 3/10 or 3/11/25, just showing here's what the difference was, here's where the money went or didn't go.
Well, yeah, I'll see what I can do, sure.
Thank you.
Joe, one last thing.
Mr. Rego.
So one last thing. So on the capital bond fund, it's 464,000, Dave.
Yep.
So that goes back before 2018.
Yep.
And we're going into the budget cycle now, and are some of these funds, do we know if we can use them for other things?
We don't.
So is that something we can?
I sat down with Michael when we went through this, and he, we looked at all the things, and there are some questions that we have. Some of these are very old, like you said.
Yeah.
2018 and before. There's some evidence that maybe they weren't all posted properly. And we're gonna work on that.
Dave, this is not a reflection on you. You inherited it.
I
And-
understand.
And you know what? This goes back to 2019, where money has been sitting there for years and years and years, and no one has addressed it. But we do need to address it, especially going into the budget time. And I don't know, Tony, if that's something that you would have to get involved in to research this.
No, it's something that I think what Dave and Mike are doing now is what you need to do. And once they determine the validity or the status of those funds, then I get involved.
Okay, yeah, because we can't just let them sit there.
No, and that's a good point, particularly with your current budget.
Yeah.
So should bond council be called if this is a capital bond from 2018?
Probably.
You guys ready for me to call?
We can talk to, these are from, I think these are from the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank.
What I'd like to do is just alert bond council what we're doing.
Okay.
And then once you have your report ready, then we can get her involved. That's a good point.
All right,
Joey, one more.
Mr. Rego.
So, and the same goes with the special revenue funds, and I talked to Brian about that. Brian, have we made any headway as far as what we can use those funds for? The special revenue funds,
The special revenue funds,
Yeah.
what we can use some of them for is.
yes.
We have looked at a couple and I think there's some, or at least I know there's one. I mean, I'm not sure if open records in my.
You can respond to the request.
Okay.
yes.
That there is at least one fund that I think we can use money for this budget cycle. Yes,
Okay.
at least once. One of the problems with looking at these funds is there's no documentation on what the money can and cannot be used for. And so that's, some of them have no paperwork at all that describe what it can be used for. Some of them it's very vague. So that's the concern.
So if that's the case, when there's no documentation, do we just do it and then ask for forgiveness if we did something wrong? I mean, how else, I mean, they just can't sit here, these funds.
Well,
Tony?
one situation that comes to mind is if we have special revenue funds that could be tapped into, that would be the way to do the waste management. Because that would be an opportunity for us to spend money that's not generated from taxes. Because next year, when we adjust the sewer usage fees, we would then be bringing in the appropriate amount. The last thing I want to do is put one-time shot into the budget that's not going to be sustainable.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
So
And I was thinking. more
we need to
along-
get an answer
Yeah.
on this
And I
stuff.
was thinking more aligned, the capital bond funds would be perfect for the sewer.
Anything, any
Yeah.
one injection would be
Yeah.
usable for that. Okay. So here we go. No action on this. Oh, no, we're gonna ask, is there a motion to ask the solicitor to contact bond counsel?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. DeSisto, you got that. Thank you, Mr. Burlingame. Next, we have the Recreation Director.
Hello. So the first thing is the community garden well, we didn't have any bids. So I'm going to ask that we go and seek a vendor.
Any discussion?
I was gonna say motion to approve, to go seek a vendor for the community garden.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The second item is the tent that the 30 by 50 Navy tent that for Bristol Park that we are getting, we are paying with through the Rhode Island Commerce Grant.
And the well was grant money as well.
The wells
As
will
well.
be from the DEM grant and
Is
the
there
People's
a
Garden grant.
Motion to approve the tent purchase.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The third is a waiver for the spring concert for Mount Hope High School Music Department. This has become an annual event since COVID.
Motion.
Second.
Vote.
Aye.
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 The third is of the facility policy that we have. It's just, I updated it to account for the dog park upgrade, the community garden, just all things that the MyRec program, because we've changed the way that we don't use paper and pencil anymore. Everything goes through the MyRec program, so.
So I read through it. How do you prove if a dog's been altered or?
Listen, they know, they know. They
found that
call,
interesting.
and they call.
Okay. Second, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The third is a request by Blue Skies to use the Warrentown Beach on May 3rd. And if you have any questions on that event, I know Jenny is here to speak to that.
Come on down.
Jenny Flanagan. Tom Flanagan. 46 Washington Street. We've been working with the East Bay Recovery Center for couple years now, helping friends and family manage anxiety, help loved ones manage anxiety through our Blue Skies RI program. One of the approaches that we've latched onto that we think we would love to bring to Warren is walking relieves anxiety, meditation relieves anxiety, walking meditation in a labyrinth is a fabulous way of doing that. We would like to bring at least one, maybe 2 or 3 labyrinths to town. I've spoken to many of you about this before. The cost to the town would be nothing for the construction. We would work with Public Works for the permanent labyrinths to make sure that there's no or very low maintenance of these to again reduce the cost of the town. In order to help the community decide what kind of labyrinths they'd like to see and where to have them, we're proposing to put a pop-up labyrinth at the beach on World Labyrinth Day, which is May 3rd. If we use the beach, we need permission from town council. We're actually talking about doing it out by the seawall at the beach. Sorry, I didn't have this in the package, but I just so you folks can see. This is that's the playground. This is the Warren River. There's the Sandy Beach area, and we'd be up by the kayak rack.
Okay. Yeah.
And this is just paint like they use on the football field.
Yes.
Good idea. Something to do in May 3rd.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And the last request is discussion on converting the old bathrooms at the Burrs Hill Park facility to changing spaces. And so my interest is to, now that we have the new bathrooms, I would like to, and there is a need for changing spaces. So I'd like to remove the toilets and just kind of fix that up so that we can use it for the kids to change.
There's not gonna be any showers or anything?
There won't be any showers. The showers will be the ones across at the beach.
I have a question. Do we need, if we have bathrooms, do we need them to be handicap accessible if we have handicap accessible on site?
Well, I'm gonna defer to the building official, but from my perspective, yes.
So
If
we
you
couldn't
put-
keep
if you-
those as bathrooms anyway.
We're providing them at the other ones. That's a good question, because it's gonna, a lot of it's gonna have to
God
do with
bless.
distance too, because there's distances you can be from a bathroom. But if we're doing them as changing spaces, you could have that same problem. You got changing spaces at the other end.
But they're not, I have a second part to my question. The reason that we weren't redoing these bathrooms is because they weren't handicap accessible. Does a changing space have to be handicap accessible?
I got 2 building officials here, but.
I know.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna say yes, but you are providing it at an alternate, at the same location, so you're probably okay, but now we're talking a big distance. I mean, once you get to a certain distance, now it's not providing the same.
We don't open those bathrooms anymore.
Okay.
So those bathrooms, once the new bathrooms became usable, we stopped opening the bathrooms, the older
Right, they're
bathrooms.
closed.
So right now, there's no use in them. So we don't utilize them.
Maybe you could change it into a bat house, Tony.
Mr. President, could we approve this conditional upon the solicitor's okay that it meets legal scrutiny?
Well, I don't,
And we also have to find the funding. So
yeah, I mean,
the funding is probably the bigger piece for me. But I wanted to start the discussion.
see, I have a big problem with getting rid of bathrooms.
Yeah, that's
And if
very
we-
convenient.
If
They're
we
right-
can't use them because they're not handicap accessible, is that the fact?
My recommendation would be to ask the building official to reach out to the governor's office on disabilities and get the person in charge there and run the question by them, and then we'll have a definite answer from the people that can say yes or no.
Because then both questions are gonna be, if we can't use it for a bathroom,
Correct.
can we use it as a changing room?
Correct, because that's,
Because the whole reason for building the new ones was that the ramp was gonna be not accessible to the old building. So
I just wanted to start the discussion so that we.
I have no
can-
problem starting the discussion, but I'd like to keep bathrooms, even if it's one toilet and a changing room. I think people start changing, they may have to go to the bathroom. And if we're gonna get hopefully some grant money, maybe. I'm in fear that this is going to be a dead issue because it's not handicap accessible. We were unable to get the grant money to redo those bathrooms because that location wasn't handicap accessible.
And also because of the flood zone.
Can I make a suggestion?
Flood zone at the beach.
Can I
Yes.
make a suggestion on this? I think that the request is for a motion to authorize the rec director to explore plans to convert these bathrooms to a changing station. And if she can come up with a plan and it's acceptable, then you go from there.
I know, but I want to keep it as a bathroom too.
Well, that's, like I said, the question,
Okay.
the building official can ask that question to the governor's office. And it's, because this is a tricky one, because it's, you do have the handicap facilities at the location, but they are so far away, it may not trigger that you're providing that service to that person. So
All right, so we're
But
gonna
we
make,
also don't want to open up a can of worms because we don't want to have to make those buildings handicap accessible.
well, that means then we don't use it.
Right.
The worst case
So
scenario,
the-
is
so-
if they say no, then we don't use
Then
it.
we don't use them, but I just wanted to start
uh-oh,
the conversation.
Mr. Cabral.
Macabro Building Zoning. I would just ask that Tara works with me with the Governor's Council on Disabilities. We can look at all the options and then come back and let you know if we can keep it as a bathroom or a changing room. As you're all aware, the reason why we had the other ones built was because, yes, it is in a flood zone, and in order to make it meet accessibility, you would have had a ramp going from Water Street to the bike path and back to make that elevation. So if we could just work on this, I'll talk to the Governor's Council, get them down and decide what we can do with that, if we can do anything with that facility.
Let me suggest this as a motion, that the matter be referred to the rec director and the building official to work with the Governor's Commission on Disabilities to explore the reuse of these
Historic bathrooms.
For the continued use.
for the continued use of these structures as a potential changing facility and or restaurant facility.
Because you could, to be honest with you, if you wanted to keep them a bathroom, you could remove some of the stalls and keep some of the stalls.
Yeah, one.
Does the creation of the new bathroom facility that is in fact handicapped, does that not relieve us of the?
Well, that's the question.
That's the question.
That's
There
the
is no
question.
set answer to that because there's a distance involved. Basically, the rule of thumb is if you can provide the same thing to someone that's disabled that you can to the regular person, then you're allowed to do it. But when you get into it, you're probably talking 500-600 feet from one to the other. So that may be outside the designation where they're gonna say, no, this one doesn't meet that requirement because it's too far away. But they'll answer that question in 10 minutes, if Matt gets in touch with them.
Yes.
All right, so
Did,
I make a
the
motion,
clerk get that?
I make a motion as the solicitor stated.
And is there a second?
I'll
Mr.
second.
Tromley and Mr. Hanlon.
If we get an advisory opinion from the Governor's Council on Disabilities, can we rely on that? Is that binding, or could we face litigation in the future? No, okay, good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, Public Works. Discussion and action regarding Public Works overtime and overages.
So as of today, the Public Works overtime account is actually $7,746.80 over. It does not reflect that on the revenue and expenditures because it hadn't posted by that time. This is clearly due to a reduction of $26,000 in the overtime budget from last year to this year, as well as a bad timing for snow emergencies in February. So the first 3 weeks of February saw snowstorms happen on Saturday into Sunday, which is the most expensive time for the town of Warren. So I'm requesting that we move $8,000 from the account 015501511030 and $10,000 from the account 015500002340 into the Public Works overtime account to cover the current shortfalls as well as potential upcoming. In the second and third page, I showed a outline of overtimes that we typically support throughout the year. These are not frivolous overtimes. These are the typical keeping the town operating with the transfer station, supporting Earth Day, supporting Eco Depot, picking up the yard waste on the weekends when we have a delayed trash day. And then in the month of June, this is also picking up trash barrels and cleaning bathrooms once the summer months start, where we tend to go out every Saturday and Sunday picking those up. We could potentially, at the request of the council, cut those down to once a weekend.
I was just gonna say, I'm glad you have this all done now, so we, handy if we need to fine tune.
Right, and this is obviously provided that there's no other
Expenses.
emergencies between now and then, but these are that $18,000 moving over would cover the high end if we did all of this and there was no more emergencies. So, I think as we get closer and we see if there's any upcoming emergencies that kind of fill in, we'd be able to make a better
Well,
recommendation.
fortunately, you had it to move around.
Yep.
Currently, yes.
Brian, these costs, the hourly cost, that's at time and a half because it's overtime, correct?
Correct. And that is, I gave you all three. I gave you the low end, the high end, and in between. And then this is obviously not counting if, there's comp time taken or whatever that the employees choose to take, but this is just worst case scenario.
Anybody have any additional questions? Is there a motion to approve the transfer?
Motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
You got that, clerk? Thank you, Ms. Baroni. Okay, Mr. Leadham, is this your last council meeting?
Yes.
Well, I'd like to take this time to thank Christopher Leadham. He's been our tax assessor for what, 8 years? 9 years. And he's moving on to bigger and better things for his family. Gonna be in Bristol, tax assessor there, and we thank you. I'm gonna miss you. And
Thank you very much, Chris.
We wish you the best.
so we won't adjourn in your honor yet, but we will when we come back from executive session. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you.
We good, Brian?
Hey, audio and video is on.
Make a motion, we come out of executive session and seal the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Make a motion that the solicitor, I gotta go through the items. The solicitor and the manager proceed with, the Suez Environmental as directed in executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
I make a motion that, the police chief and the town manager proceed as directed regarding personnel as directed in executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And I make a motion that, the DPW director and the town manager proceed with the testing required regarding the landfill as discussed in executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I believe that's it. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we adjourn.